Willow Creek Springs presents Healthy Living with your host, Joe Grumbine.
Because I don't know how to work with them in a sacred way, and I don't know that I want to. The addictive nature of some things are very difficult. I've recently reestablished a relationship with tobacco. Now, tobacco is a very, very sacred plant, and it's also very, very abused, and it's also very, very potentially dangerous to a lot of people. It when and if abused. But if you work with the sacred side of it, in the sense of you work with its true spirit with reverence and in a sacred way, it's been used historically to carry a prayer. We're human beings, and it's funny. I have a lot of people in my life that I've shared pretty deep experiences with that are spiritual and vulnerable, and um, my connection to God or source or spirit or creator, whatever, Jesus, all the ways that we express our human experience of something that is not human or even of this world for that matter. We live this three-dimensional uh, low vibrational life, and even the best of us are just we're animals, and we got to really be honest about that. If you think about the nature of things in the universe and the creative power that is moving things, and again, you can believe what you want. We all will do that. But I believe there's a creative force in this universe that causes everything to happen in a way that I'll never probably understand. And for me to be stuck holding a name or a face or a picture or an image or a set of words that applies to everything as the be all and end all, in my opinion, is limiting. And I know for many, many people, it's good. It's enough. And I suppose it could be enough for me as well. But I believe in the unlimited potential of the human experience. I believe we have inside of us the very particles that is that creative force, and that we have inside of us the ability to connect and become or be or use or express um, that part of us if we figure out or let ourselves. And I'm sort of rambling because I'm talking about things I don't truly understand, but I've experienced and connected with and felt, and I know them to be true on some level, even if I can't articulate them. And I'm just being honest about it. I don't pretend. I'm not a hypocrite about, my faith and my experience with what we call divinity. Um, I do know this. I have been around many, 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 many people of many, many different faiths and traditions, and I have found generally the most hypocrisy um, in the people that are the most refined in a particular faith. Christians in particular. I am a Christian on some level. I believe in so many different things as to be true, but I don't limit the experience to that and say, well, that is the only truth. It is a truth that I can experience and understand in some way. And there are many truths that I cannot understand. And so when I walk with these sacred plants, it's my attempt to connect in a deeper way with that same experience, that same creative force, that same divinity that caused everything to happen in some way, a way that I don't understand necessarily. And so even a thing like the fire, um, I don't diminish that on any level. We look at fire as the grandfather, as the source, the spirit. We talk about the fire in our heart, the fire in our soul, the fire that is our spirit. And then you look at an actual fire and you go, wow, what a connection. Even the Sacred Heart of Jesus has a fire in it. There's a there's an element, and people say, well, fire's an element. It's a low vibrational whatever. But the truth is we don't know. We don't understand things. I know I've spent many, 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 many hours tending fire and spending time just being immersed in the fire, and I've seen things that I cannot explain. I've gotten messages, I've gotten clarity, I've gotten feelings, I've gotten all sorts of things that I've received. And some might say, well, you're connecting with dark spirits, or you're connecting with something that's demonic, or you're connecting with something that is not what you think it is. And, the truth is, we don't know. We don't know so many things. But I do know this. About 9 years ago, eight, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years ago, something like that, a dear friend came over to my house. And this is a guy that was very chaotic. He was a good guy, but had a lot of drama in his life, and was had a very chaotic energy about him, and was always all over the place. And one day he came to my house and he was a different person. He was transformed, and he was calm, and there was a warmth about him that I never had seen before that way. And he told me about this experience, and he had worked with a medicine man up in Montana, and he had done what he called a peyote meeting in a teepee. And he shared with me a very small amount of this greenish powder. And he said, try some, see what it tastes like, see how you feel with it. I just took the teeniest little bit, really just a teeny, teeny little bit. And I put it between my cheek and gum. And almost immediately, I felt it sort of travel throughout my body and like tingle. I felt my cells sort of tingle, and it was very positive. It was very light. It was very bright as an energy. And I said, wow, there's something special here. And I couldn't explain it. I didn't know what I was tapping into. I didn't know what I was connecting with, but I knew as a feeling, it was clear and it was good. It had my best interest in mind, and I could feel that. And I think that, if we're working with spirit energy, that's where feelings can really come in. Because if you're honest with yourself and your intentions are to become better, become healed, become a better person, become more loving, whatever it is that you're seeking to do with these actions that you're taking, whatever they are, I think you know how you feel against that intention. And I think if something is dark or not connected to God, spirit, source, creator, whatever, however you express that term, um, I think you feel it. I think you really do. And that's where accountability and honesty comes into, the sacred nature of these medicines. So back to tobacco, I had a 13-year running addiction with dip, Copenhagen, snuff, whatever you want to call it. And I started when I was 13 years old. And before I turned 26, I was having dreams that my tongue was falling out and my teeth were rotting and I was getting cancer, just horrible dreams. I was like, man, I got to quit this. And it was the hardest thing I ever did. And ultimately, I made a deal with God. And I had to rely upon my faith to shoulder the burden of this. And I said, God, I need you. If you can take this from me, um, I'll carry it, but I need you to do it. And I felt that we made a deal that I would have the faith that he would take that from me, and in exchange, I would receive the blessing of the relief of this. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, aside from this cancer. I have a new hardest thing in my life, but prior to that, it was the hardest thing I've ever done, and battling an addiction that just didn't want to let go, and gave up a little teeny bit every day. Yeah, I mean, by that I mean maybe the cravings lasted a fraction less and took a fraction more before the next one came. But over time, it diminished, and it's now been um, 35 years, 33, 34 years since I've put a dip in my mouth. And still, every now and again, I get a little ache in my lip going, hey, what about me? And it'll never let go, probably. But recently, I became acquainted with rape or hape, and that is a snuff that's blown up into your nose, and it can be a blend of tobacco and other herbs. I've also worked with the tobacco smoke in the teepee. So in that tradition, for the prayer, you'll roll tobacco into a corn husk and smoke it. But generally, you smoke it like a cigar. You're not inhaling it. And I've even allowed myself to smoke a cigar very occasionally on very special occasions, like if I'm out of the country or, you know, in a campfire setting in a very special place. I will acknowledge the sacredness of the tobacco and enjoy it in a reverent way. And one time, and a very special time. So I've allowed myself to reconnect with this plant in a different light than I did when I was dipping. And when I was dipping, it was just a need. It was an addiction. It was a drug, and I just put it in and I kept it in my mouth all day long, and it was just a bad experience. But now, and with rape, most of the time I pass when it is passed around in ceremony. Occasionally I will do it, and when I do, I request just the smallest amount. And when I do it, I receive it, and I connect with the spirit on a prayerful plane, and I use it as a guide, a tool to help me focus my intention in my prayer. And I believe I'm able to work with it in a way that isn't bringing the addiction back. I don't have a deeper desire to go out and buy a can of Copenhagen or anything like I did before. So I'm happy about that. What I'm seeing a lot, with social media and this new, I don't know, superficial freak show that we are in, Burning Man and all the bullshit festivals and all this stuff. And it's not to say that there aren't good things in these things. Um, all the new age shamans, all the wellness retreats and all the exploitive um, situations. And, it's just human nature. People find a thing that's good that helps a person, and they maybe start out as a good notion. I know I could help more people. But then people come to you and, they start sucking up to you because you have a thing they want. For many, many years, I had the good pot, and I learned the hard way that people would exploit you to get what you have and lead you to believe things were ways that they weren't, and put you up on a pedestal and treat you differently. And no matter who you are, you kind of fall into it to some degree, no matter, you stay humble, whatever, but it's like a drug, and when people come up to you and say how great you are and this wonderful thing you have, and they treat you so nice and well, they want to put money in your hand and honor you for whatever. It's hard to turn away from that and go, well, that's bullshit. I'm just you. I'm just a different other person, even though you know that to be true. And it's a slippery slope. And I know a lot of people find their way, especially when sex is involved. A lot of people are, young and pretty, and they connect with older people that have needs and resources. And I've seen a lot of people take advantage of a lot of situations, and in the name of healing and in the name of these plant medicines. And it's, to me, the false idols of the Old Testament. It's that kind of thing. It's not the same connection, even though the tools that they're using are the very same tools that the true healers are using. And
Hi, this is Joe Grumbine, and I wanted to share an update. The platform that hosts this podcast has made some changes to the subscriber settings, and we have a number of subscriber-only episodes that we offer to the supporters. And for a minimum of $3 a month, we can get you signed up. And if you're already signed up and you're having some kind of trouble locating these episodes in the other platforms, I would say maybe the best answer is to unsubscribe and then resubscribe. I'm sorry for the hassle. I don't have any way to make a change, but I'm very grateful for all the support. Thank you.
that's where kind of I'm at right now. We created the Gardens of Hope. We spent 30 years building this garden, and we've worked with people from all over the world in the last 30 years. And we've worked with different spiritual traditions. We've worked with prayer groups. We've worked with all sorts of different plant medicines and healers. And we've have a teepee, and we've run Navajo and Arapaho, Northern Cheyenne meetings here on the property, and had some amazing, beautiful connections with amazing, beautiful people. And some of those people have passed on, and left behind a legacy of some of these medicines. And I've had experience, with plant medicines, with animal medicines, with combo and bufo that are toad and frog medicines that have some of the same chemicals that some of the plants have. And again, most of it, if not all of it, has to do with the intention and the way you approach it, the the people that you're working with, and how they're approaching it, as to the true value you can get from it. And I've worked with a number of different practitioners, and some of them were technically good, but I didn't connect with them. I didn't feel that their connection with me was maybe real or deep in a way that some of the others were. I can't judge what their connection with the medicine was, other than I just didn't feel the same way. And even though technically they did a good job, how they acted before and after maybe made a difference. Oh, okay, we're done. I got to go. And rather than spending time and integrating and being present and all of that sort of thing. Um, it's hard. You can't really judge somebody else. You don't know where they are, what they've done. And that's part of our lessons, is to, be open and understanding and forgiving and loving and all of that. But in those situations, I've been able to let go and say, well, I don't feel the connection to the practitioner, but I feel the connection to the medicine. So I will just work with the medicine and let it do what it needs to do. And that's how I've been able to um, keep my reverence together with it. I know that, um, with cannabis and some of the other medicines that are recreational as well, I know a lot of the same people will go and, mushrooms or peyote or any of these different medicines, and people will um, want to imbibe as much as they can. They want to go deeper and deeper, just like when I ran my dispensary, I'd have people come and say, "Give me the strongest you got. I just want the most I can get. I want to go as far as I can." And that was the ambition rather than, let me connect with this medicine, let me connect with spirit, let me heal myself. I want to find healing. Big difference. And so I notice a lot of times in different ceremonies, um, working with the right people, the right practitioners, facilitators, shamans, medicine people, whatever the term you want to use there are generally people that run these things, and they know the songs and they know the prayers, and they know have the tools to um, bring about the beauty and the value of the tradition. And then there's other people that, they show up and it's a party, and they're there to, get high or get go on their journey, whatever they want to call it. But they're the ones that are disruptive. They're the ones that'll sit at the fire and be yapping to the person next to, or being a spectacle in some way, and uh, it can diminish or distract from the people that are truly trying to find healing. And so these are things that I've discovered, whether it's you know false prophets, if you will, practitioners that are maybe have their own agenda. Maybe it's not as clean and pure as you might want and hope. Maybe it's the disruptive person or the person who's sort of trying, or maybe they got something else on their mind. Maybe they're trying to hook up with the cutie across the room. Whatever it is, there's always these, human issues at stake. Another piece of this puzzle is the preparation and integration. Um, a lot of times people will say, "Oh, I'm going to do a ceremony, whatever, ayahuasca or peyote or wachuma or whatever your medicine of choice is." But they might be drinking or smoking weed or doing coke the day before, or eating lousy food, or, just doing all the things that are not what that medicine's about, and not honoring it with a preparation, not preparing the body, the whether regardless of where your connection to spirit comes from, your body is a temple, and you're going to put this medicine into your body. What is it that you're putting it into? Did you just eat a bunch of junk food? Did you just drink a bunch of whiskey? Did you just smoke a bunch of weed, or do some coke or meth or heroin or whatever it is, your drug of choice? And that's still affecting you while you're going to go and take this sacred medicine? Or are you preparing? Are you giving yourself some time to cleanse yourself and eat well, and, maybe not do the things that distract us and cause us problems? And then what about afterward? Do you just jump right back into your chaotic life and get in a fight with your spouse, and eat some shitty food, and, jump right back onto your phone and scroll all day long, or whatever it is that you do that is not healthy? Are you doing that? Or are you giving yourself some time to sit with this medicine and give it a chance to come in and do all it can do? Um, these are really important elements to these medicines, and I just really wanted to share that experience. I am just a guy who's on a path trying to be the best person I can be and trying to find my health and trying to get past this cancer and be the best person I can be. And I'm not chasing every medicine. I'm not doing it because I haven't done it. If it comes to me in a time when I feel that it's what I need, when I need it, then I open the door. But there's many medicines I've not tried, and I don't know if I will. It just depends on, if they come to me when it's my time. So I just wanted to share these things with you. And if you're considering going down a pathway to some of these ethnobotanical indigenous practices, medicines, treatments, ceremonies, take some time, sit with it, start with a meditation and see where it guides you. Find somebody that you know and trust, find somebody that has been positively affected by this and not in a superficial way. You can tell, be honest, start owning your own actions and your own words and your own thoughts and be honest about them. And then your intuition starts to come alive and opens the door for some of these better choices to happen. All right, this has been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Grumbine, and I thank you for all your support, and we will see you next time.
This has been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. We produce this show so that people can share their stories, people that have overcome obstacles, people that are undergoing obstacles. We're building a community of health-minded individuals. If you're interested in supporting the show, please leave a review on the platform you're listening to it on. If you're interested in becoming a guest, please send an email to itsjoegrumbine@gmail.com, or you can send a note into the notes section of the podcast. All right. Well, thank you for supporting this show, and we hope you've enjoyed it.